And for perspective now, from the other side of this debate is Michael Brune, the executive director of the Sierra Club. He joins me now from Oakland, California. Thanks for being with us, Michael.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
All right, so first of all, the Sierra Club is one of the oldest environmental groups in the United States and has fought hard against Pruitt's nomination. In December, in fact, you released a statement comparing Trump's nomination of Pruitt to putting an arsonist in charge of fighting fires. Now, in his hearing, Pruitt said he doesn't believe climate change is a hoax, and I wonder if that allays any concerns that you might have.
No, not at all. That's a pretty low bar. My kids who are in elementary school know that climate change is real. Saying that climate change is a hoax is probably one of the more absurd statements that we've heard from a U.S. political leader in the last couple decades. So disagreeing with that statement doesn't really qualify someone for being the head of the EPA. What we're concerned about, of course, is Scott Pruitt's record. And what we have seen, as you just detailed on your show, is attempt after attempt to undermine the authority of the EPA and to fight regulations coming from EPA that would help to clean up our air and clean up our water and create jobs at the same time.
What else is it that concerns you about Scott Pruitt's nomination?
Well, mostly, I would say most fundamentally, is a pattern of putting ideology over the health of our kids. So, for an example, Scott Pruitt has fought protections to minimize the amount of smog pollution. And yet, in Oklahoma, every single county has been rated an F in air quality from the American Lung Association. That is not protecting clean air. Scott Pruitt has said he wants to protect clean water, but the number of lakes in Oklahoma that have fish consumption advisories, i.e. the water is too polluted to eat the fish, has doubled under his tenure. And in Oklahoma, the availability of wind power is now cheaper, the cost of wind power is now cheaper than coal and often cheaper than natural gas, but Scott Pruitt has fought protections to address climate pollution and transition to clean energy. So we are very concerned about this nomination. We are fighting this nomination, and we're very hopeful that the Senate will reject him when the confirmation vote takes place.
Scott Pruitt has said that he's an advocate for clean air and water, but that he believes the EPA has overstepped its bounds and has been hurting economic growth by forcing states to comply with EPA mandates. What would you say to people who may think that some deregulations are a good idea in order to help boost the economy?
Well, what we can look at is what's happening in Oklahoma. One of the fastest growing sectors in Oklahoma and across the whole country is the clean energy industry. So what that means is that we're able to cut air and water pollution, we're able to address climate change and create jobs in the process. The growth in the clean energy sector, specifically in solar and wind, combined is about 10 times the rate of job growth across the U.S. economy. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to simultaneously grow our economy, create jobs, and do so in a way that protects our air and our water. And what Scott Pruitt has done instead of that is that he's taken this ideology, that this attack on federalism and in the form of the EPA, and he has repeatedly sued the EPA to undermine these regulations under the guise of fighting regulation. But it's not going to work. It won't protect our public health. It won't grow the economy, and it won't serve the interests of the American public.
All right. Michael Brune from the Sierra Club. Michael, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for having me on.